What happens when you can no longer have peaceful dialogue with someone who disagrees with you? When settling differences through words become impossible? There are rules in life, and I understand a lot of people don't think that's true, but sure, human beings made some rules like democracy and marriage and all those things. We made those things up, but there are also unshakable rules that human beings can't change. And one of them is this: if you lose the ability to have peaceful dialogue with people you disagree with, you increase the chances of conflict. Think about it for a moment. What do you think really causes wars? What causes wars is diversity that can't be managed. And like in the past how many years we have been talking about diversity like it's the perfect thing. But it's funny that it's also diversity that causes wars. When people can't agree, tension builds, and history has shown this to us so many times over and over again. When dialogue collapses, violence follows. What was Charlie Kirk's crime? Having a peaceful dialogue with people who disagreed with him, whether you agreed with him or not. Charlie Kirk was greatly loved. You can even tell by the sheer amount of people who consistently showed up at his rallies. In fact, I would argue that more people agreed with him than disagreed. If you look at the whole world, not just America, because America, reality gets twisted. In America, people think that if you say something, it just becomes true. But the rest of the world doesn't see it that way. And the truth is, Charlie Kirk wasn't wrong about many things he said. He dedicated his life to debates, to words, not violence. He was only 31 years old. That's not a lot of years from where I am right now. He was stolen from his family, his friends, his colleagues, not because he did anything wrong, but because he dared to have a different opinion. When I first heard this news, the dominant emotion I felt was rage, because it feels like we've seen this happen too many times. Look around, we hardly know anything about Trump's shooter. Nobody seems to be doing anything about these situations. That's why rage is the dominant emotion across the world right now. Charlie's death might be a turning point in America. No pun intended, but it's becoming harder and harder to have peaceful dialogue. And when dialogue fails, there's only one option left: war. The world needs a strong America. Believe it or not, the freedoms many of us enjoy today exist because America exists. People think the natural state of things is peace and freedom, but it really isn't. America is one of the few places on earth where the rule of law actually works. And if one of the most fundamental laws of civilization, which is the freedom of speech, and if that is under threat in America, you can expect it to echo around the world. Before this, it was really difficult to imagine how the American empire could end. Because America is really strong militarily. If you think there's any country on earth that can take on America militarily, I think you should think again. Just taking a look at America's yearly defense budget will just give you a hint of how much America invests in military power. But every great empire falls when it can't survive itself. And right now, America's greatest threat is internal. What's worse is seeing people on Twitter and on TikTok celebrating Charlie's death because he had a different opinion. Like, in what world do you think it's okay to kill someone else because he said something you did not like? If you think that's okay, consider this: you also say things that people don't like. Do you deserve to die for that? This was a young, vibrant man who dedicated his life to defending what he thought was true, what he believed to be true. And he didn't do this through violence, he did this through words. And he never forced anyone to agree with him. So you could listen to him speak and still hold your point of view. Like, he never made it a crime to disagree with him. This moment feels like what Dr. Strange called an absolute point. It's a point where everything will be different from here onwards. Outrage is everywhere. Rage is everywhere. All across the world, not just in America. So my message to everyone is this: brace yourself. We are in for a long ride. Whoever shot Charlie Kirk thought that by killing Charlie Kirk, he has ended everything that Charlie Kirk stood for. But what has happened and what is going to happen is that this has immortalized Charlie Kirk. This has only amplified everything Charlie Kirk stood for. I don't think they understand that Charlie Kirk was a nice version. And I think this is the most important thing. I don't think the people rejoicing about Charlie Kirk's murder really understand this, because Charlie Kirk was really the nice version. And his death will incentivize the other versions of him to start popping out. And nobody really wants that. If I'm to be very honest, I really think this. I think we are in for a long ride. And if things don't change rapidly, something terrible might happen.